Everyone, it's Barbara the Raspberry Stitcher. I am here with special episode Floss Tube about the Autism Jessie Watson SAL. And it is Sunday and it is beautiful out. So I'm not going to make this too long because I already did my regular Floss Tube and I'm getting ready to upload that soon. So hopefully this will be uploaded in the next day or two. And I am excited because I did finish on time. I meant to actually filmed last weekend and it just didn't happen. Things were going on and things were happening and it was a holiday weekend and I really wanted to, and I wanted to have a stitch together this weekend. That did not happen. So one is coming up. I am hoping either this coming Friday or the Friday after. I need to look at my schedule and see, but I will let you know on my Instagram. So definitely check that out. If you're not already following me on Instagram, please do, because that's where I post a lot of the stuff about Jessie Watson. And follow the hashtag Jessie Watson Autism SAL, and they'll be linked below. So check that out. So I'm going to show you my progress. So I actually got done on the 31st. Like literally, I was stitching to last minute. So here she is. I had to redo this one band like last time. So I got that done, did my next section, and brought down the border a little bit. I still have this section right here to bring down, but not a problem. I like to just take a whole thread and keep going until I'm done. So it's probably what I'll do next. But oh, it's so cute. It's so little. Look at it close up. I absolutely adore this pattern. And you know, before I started doing this actual sampler, I don't know if I've ever seen this border, and then now I've noticed that border on so many other samplers. I'm like, oh, that border, I know that border. Can stitch that border inside and out now, right? Even though I keep messing one part of it up for some reason. I keep messing up. So right where this comes down, for some reason I want to put a little one X there instead of leaving the hole, and I know you guys will know what I'm talking about. So right there, there's a hole where this diagonal comes. For some reason, I always get this piece right in the wrong place. You can see the hole more there. I just keep, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I had to take, I think I had some of this stitch, and I had to take a bunch of it out and then restitch that vine part. Oh well, it happened. Like I said, mistakes happen, but she is so pretty. And I am stitching this on 46 count baby sheep by XG Design. And I am using the Vicki Clayton conversion for the silks. And they are glorious and beautiful. They are still on her website, and I will link that below. You can buy the silk conversion. So pretty, lovely. I was going to talk about this on my other floss tube. I've been putting small holes here, so when I get done with one, I just loop it right on there, so I have it ready to go next time. There are some floss rings. I actually have two. Some of the projects that I worked on, I've had to use 2/2 compared to 1/2. So one side will have like the one strand, and the other side will have like two. So that way, I know it's weird. So again, here's the whole project, and I am stitching this on behalf of Autism Awareness for my son. We started in April. You can join anytime. It is a super fun stitch. I don't know if the colors are showing up very well. You can see on mine. I have it broken out. So here is the breakout. We have done part 1 and part 2. I am stitching the border as we go down. So the next part will be these numbers and another alphabet. And then 4 and 5, I kind of like came down here and finished that alphabet. So it's actually probably even a little less stitching. But what I'm trying to do is just make it easy to move along in the stitching. So I do have one portion here where you come around and do the whole alphabet. Now, you may not want to do that, but I did, or the border, I did do that. So 1 month I'll just be finishing up that whole border. And then we'll come over and do these motifs and then come across here, 10, 11, 9's over here, you know. I'm ending with the heart because that reminds me of an autism puzzle piece heart. So I would like to finish that. Now, I had a lovely, lovely lady talk to me, and I'm going to bring it up, Judith, and she had talked to me about the initials. And yes, there are initials in here. I think this row and this row have initials. And she is stitching this for a family member that has autism, and she's going to be putting it in the house that he lives in. And I think that's super great. And she's going to put his name on it down at the bottom instead of Jessie's. And she's going to put family members' initials in here. So I'm going to have to think about that. I have a month or so to think about that, and something I want to do. I might. So think about that. I don't know if you're stitching this for a special person. We haven't gotten to that point unless you've stitched ahead. But what a great idea to maybe put grandparents, aunts, uncles, their parents, their brothers or sisters. I think that's great. And to try to chart out, their name. Obviously, you just use the alphabet from above, make it work. So, yeah, I think I might think about doing that. I just love this sampler. It also reminds me like home. All of you know my son is, if you've watched, my son is not living with us right now. He is in a group home, and my heart is with him, but not every day, physically with him the way it used to be. And it does make it hard. So I love that the sampler has a house and the heart, and the symbolism in it for me is pretty strong. I feel like my heart is always hovering over his home. His home that he lives in is a brick home like that, not a 2-story, but a 1-story. So yeah, I'm going to think about that. And thank you, Judith, for bringing that up. That is a great observation. I mean, I knew it, but then I wasn't really thinking about it. So I'll definitely take it into consideration. And I hope you do it, because I want to see yours when you get finished. And I hope you post a picture when you actually put it up in the house, because I think that would be great. So what do I want to talk about this month with Autism Awareness? I think overall awareness about families and their child's struggle with friendships. There are a lot of people with autism who socially are awkward. Some of them don't have verbal skills. Some verbal skills are very limited. They may comprehend much more than they can actually verbalize. So it makes it very difficult for friendships. And I was going to show something that popped up in my Facebook today. So let me bring that back up, because of course it lost it. It's in my memories. And this was about 6 years ago. And that is my son at the end of the year. I believe this was 5th grade, with a bunch of friends having a great time. They have like a field day, and that's what they were doing. And I really just, here's some of his aides and teachers that year. I think that was 5th grade. It might have been 6th grade. But now that I think about it, it might have been 6th grade. Anyway, it just super sweet. I have some other memories of him with some family that came up not that long ago, that, of people that have touched him. But I will say it's not easy to have friends. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had some things running in the background, and they started, and I had to stop. So what I was talking about is friendships, and it's very hard. When they're really young, you can put kids together and they can play around each other. My son really did not develop the skills to interactively play. Yes, I went to play dates and we did things, and he did go to a couple of different birthday parties, but it was very difficult and stressful. I will say that they're loud. There's a lot going on. You're going into an environment, usually somebody else's home or a business, that you're trying to keep an eye on your child when your child is a wanderer, doesn't speak well, doesn't know how to follow other people and what they're doing, is usually kind of in their own little world. So it's very difficult. And if you have a child like this, you understand what I'm saying. It's honestly a lot of panic for even the parent, because they just don't know what's going to happen. And there are many times I've had to leave early, not be able to socialize. I mean, sometimes it's been good, sometimes it went well, other times it was very difficult. And it was never a point where we could just drop off our child for an activity like that. We always had to be there. So if he was going to go to something, my husband and I had to be with him 100% of the time, because he was a wanderer. He did get lost a couple of times when he was young, especially. As he got older, that died down and then got worse again in his teenage years going into high school. Which you would never think that, right? But that's what happened. Throughout the different years, I mean, we've had some wonderful people who definitely at school would interact with him and be very kind to him. I would say I don't know that we've had anyone be really, really mean to him in that sort of way. But to actually make a connection beyond that did not really happen. I wish it did. It just hasn't. I hope someday that he can get into some different groups and activities where that happens. And that's what I'm going to talk about, is really the different groups that help foster that. So one of the big ones we got into was Special Olympics. So when he got a little bit older, we did Special Olympics swimming. That's what seemed to fit him best. We were in a swimming program already, and it was another way for him to do an activity outside the house, similar to that his sister did. It's really great. He went, I think they have them twice a week. I think it was twice a week. Maybe it was once a week. I can't remember. It's been a little while now. And we also had separate swimming lessons. But it was great. They definitely organized everything. It's definitely something that, depending on the setup you have, like our setup, they weren't teaching kids how to swim. They were just facilitating that swim time and helping them, do a little bit better. So they definitely need a lot of volunteers. So they had a volunteer at each lane to help the kids go through the different, strokes or whatever. And they would pair you up based on your ability and kind of your age a little bit and stuff like that. They did have a little bit of one-on-one for some people with different types of special needs, because Special Olympics is for kids with all sorts of special needs and abilities and things like that. So that was really great. We were able to do that for a few years until he started to have his anxiety issues, and he was having tantrums and running away. But we did get to go to one actual meet, and it was great. And I have some great photos of that, and it was really fun. I actually got to meet some other families there. He got to be around some other kids and get to know a couple of them. One of them actually was in that swimming and in his regular swimming class. So we did swim lessons. And another thing I will say is make sure your kids, if at all possible, can know how to swim. It is so important. It's just a necessity. If your child is physically able to do it, it's a great thing for them to know how to do. Another lady or so were in some special swimming classes. So sometimes these swim lesson places that you can go to when your kids are young will have a separate section that are for kids with disabilities, and they will put in smaller number amounts. So instead of saying 5 are in the class, they'll only have 3. Or sometimes you can do some one-on-one for a little while. So look into those things. Those are great areas. Different groups or organizations that might put together activities or different social type events. Special Olympics does a prom every year. So that's why I talk about Special Olympics. It's really, yes, it's about sports, but it's really about making friendships for the child or even adult, because Special Olympics goes all the way through adulthood, which is another great thing. So if they become an adult, they don't have to transition to something different. They can still go to the same thing, which happens a lot. So the after school stuff is really hard. So once they graduate from school, where do they go? What do they do? So finding those types of things. There are organizations that do different things as far as day programs, so they can be around other people and doing other things. So that becomes where I would say look into those areas. Those are wonderful, and I cannot wait till he can get back into some of those things. And that's one thing I want to talk to where he's at, is that if it's possible, do they even have Special Olympics in that county? Or when he gets living closer to home or comes back home, getting him back into those different things would be fantastic, and where you're going to have to help foster those friendships, whether or not they are long-term, short-term, whatever ability they have to have a friend is great. Just getting them to interact with them and know they're there. And my son would ask if somebody was missing or where were they. Different people with different abilities, can help sometimes your child to interact more and build those friendships a little bit. And definitely, obviously, siblings help, and that's a whole other category, which I'd like to talk about at some point. But fostering friendships, it's not always easy. It doesn't always happen, but you can keep trying. And I would say that just keep trying to find those different outlets, whether it be in a sport or a creative activity, or even activities where they're learning how to do everyday tasks, if that's a part of it. Look for those types of things that just aren't autism specific, but disability specific, for people with special needs, that if you're in those groups, you can help foster then those relationships and friendships for that person, child, adult, whatever it may be. Looking for that, or having them go to, like my son, I think at some point could do some simple cooking classes. So taking him somewhere and talking to somebody, hey, would you be interested in being able to do this? Even talking to different community businesses that have maybe a creative outlet, like a pottery place, and they do pottery. Hey, would you like to try to do like a friendship mentor pottery, session? Like, would that be something you're interested in with kids with different abilities and other kids who are, typical? Like, could we do that? Best buddies in school is a great thing. Obviously that kind of ends then. I'm not sure it goes forward. We were in it for a couple of years, and then obviously things changed for us. But that would be something I would look into too, especially when they're younger. Looking into Best Buddies. Middle school and high schools usually have them, or a program similar to them. If they don't, you could start one. I know my son's schools have just started the programs in their schools. So that's a great fostering way, and to make friendships. And for other students to learn what it's like to be around people with other disabilities. It's super important that people understand how to foster relationships with other people that are not, quote, like them. So looking into things like that. I would also say, if there is something you can do, is to help find some of those organizations' activities for your friends, for your daughter or son, for your, for your family member who has a child with those issues, giving them those outlets and knowing where they can go, and giving them concrete websites or people to contact if they're interested, is super important. And then helping to foster and sponsor them. All these activities, Special Olympics is basically free, but they do need help. All of these organizations need help. So anything you can do to help them to make these activities and wonderful programs available, more power to you, because it is definitely needed. It is something that's overlooked, and it takes time. If you have some of those abilities, go and volunteer. Like, for his swimming, we needed one person at each lane just to volunteer, just to stand there and tell the kids where to go and what to do. The person organizing it was walking around if you ever needed help. My husband had done that a little bit. My daughter helped with that some. Just anything like that. If you have some kind of, interest, just see what you can do, or help volunteer one of their big fundraisers. Just help in any way you can. So that's what I would say. Volunteering is big too, because it's not all monetary. They do need people to help with putting on the activities and helping foster some of these different events and organizations. So anyway, that's what I have to say. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. But making friendships is very difficult. My son, unfortunately, has not really had that super connection with one other person as far as a peer friend. So that is something, that we are still going to work on in adulthood. And I hope that he finds, because that would really just be a super blessing in our lives and his. And it's always wonderful to see your children have those true friends and people who care about them. And it kind of gives you comfort to know that there's more than, yes, family is there for them, but more than that, that they are building their own lives and their own individualities. And having friends is a part of that, and it's a super important part of that. So next month, just want to reiterate, we are going to be working on part 3. So we're going to be doing the numbers and then this alphabet here and bringing the border down some more. So please post your progress. Tell me your stories, whatever you want. Use the hashtag Jessie Watson Autism SAL. I will link it below. And just have fun with this. I am really enjoying it. It is definitely it's kind of a highlight to be able to talk about it and see where people are and just interact and meet people. So I thank you again for being a part of this. And like always, just be kind. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.